everyone, welcome to Crafty Garden and part 5 of my Fleece to FO series. My name is Stephanie and you're joining me in the mountains of Vermont where I live with my husband, our 2 dogs, and our cat. So today I have another Fleece to FO video for you, and this is a very special video because I finished my Finn sweater. It's completely finished, and yeah, I thought I would tell you a little bit about it. Go into all of the nitty-gritty details and have a little show and tell of photos from beginning to end, from fleece to finished sweater at the end, with some cute photos and maybe a silly video or something like that. So let's jump right in. So the first thing I wanted to say is that this isn't just a sweater. This is a massive learning experience. It is a sweater. It is a sweater that I think is very beautiful and I love, but it's not just a sweater. It's a learning experience. This was my first fleece that I ever bought, and I bought it last year at Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival, and that was at the end of September. And yeah, that was my very first fleece. It's really cool to be sitting here wearing it. So I learned a lot making this sweater. This was my first time making a woolen spun yarn. So I thought, well, let me just remind you guys that this is part 5 of a series of videos, my Fleece to FO series. And if you're just coming here because you wanted to check out another Jennifer Steingass Arboreal sweater. Jennifer Steingass. Seriously, Stephanie, if you don't stop saying Steingass sweater, that's cool, but I just want you to know that this is, as much as it is about this sweater, it's also about the journey from making the yarn from a fleece and turning it into a sweater. It's about the journey as well, not just about knitting the sweater. So if you're interested, I have other videos about how I took the fleece and turned it into rolags and then yarn and now into a sweater. So yes, where was I at that? So the learning experience. I have learned so much from making this sweater. This was my first time making a woolen spun yarn, so I did card every single one of those rolags, and I'll put a picture in for you. Every single one of those rolags were hand carded by me and then spun long draw, and I think it's like a supported long draw that I did, but I have videos of me spinning and some of my other Fleece to FO videos if you want to check those out. So yeah, my first woolen spun yarn and fully woolen spun rolags, long draw, the whole deal. And this is my first woolen spun garment that I've ever made. As far as I know, I mean, it's definitely as far as like hand spun yarn goes. This is my first woolen spun garment, which means a couple things. It means that the yarn is lofty and airy and soft. This is incredibly soft. Oh, the one thing I wanted to tell you is that I have a sew faded sweater that I made out of superwash merino that was indie dyed. Not from me, but I wore that to Rhinebeck, and that was itchier, way itchier than this is. This is not itchy at all. I remember that wearing it to Rhinebeck, I remember the back of my arm back here was just super itchy when I was wearing. I like got over it after a while, but I think you just get used to it. But this is nowhere near that. This is super soft, and that's 2 things, I think, is the fact that it's a lamb's wool. It was very fine fleece, soft, very soft, and the way I spun it kept it very nice and soft. So the fact that I spun it woolen, it's airier. It didn't have it doesn't have high twist. It was pretty low twist. So all of those things make for this really soft, gorgeous yarn. The downside to it is that it is more likely to pill, and I have picked up a couple of, I don't think you can quite tell, maybe there a little bit. it has pilled just a little bit. I've worn it a few times, so I thought I'd tell you. I wore this out to watch the new Avengers movie. I think we went Sunday. It was really rainy and it was pretty cold that day or afternoon, and I ended up wearing this. I wore like a little camisole under it, and then I wore this, and then I wore a light rain jacket. So just over top of it because it was raining. But like other people were wearing, you know, their more like winter coats, and I got away with just wearing my really light rain jacket because I had this on underneath and it kept me warm and cozy. And this is pretty toasty. The weather spring has sprung here in Vermont. My daffodils bloomed yesterday. That was super exciting. And I have some photos in front of my daffodils if you haven't seen already. And so the weather was like 80 degrees the other day, so it's not exactly sweater weather anymore. It's not that hot today, and it's a little overcast, and it's been raining on and off. But yeah, I thought I would wear it for as long as I can stand it. I might have to change into a t-shirt in a minute, but I really, really love it. It's super comfortable. So, okay, I think I'm going to go over some of the yarn details. I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but I thought I'd mention it again. So this is a 2-ply DK weight yarn, and every single one of, I spun, I think it was 5. It was supposed to be 4, and then I split one of them into 2. So it was 5 hanks or skeins of yarn, and then I calculated the grist for every single one of them, and all of them fell into the DK range for the yards per pound or grist. So it's a 2-ply DK weight. Some of them were slightly heavier and some of them were slightly thinner. And there is spots where I can see that like slightly visibly. I don't know if you can, but like my trained eye from spinning, I can spot like which ones came from, like through this arm here, I can spot the different, you can see the fading. Anyways, so yeah, I spun it 15-to-1. So for the singles, that was 15-to-1, and then I plied it on my jumbo flyer, at a 9-to-1 ratio. And this is on my Lindrum spinning wheel that I spun this yarn. I talked about hand carding it into roll wags, and I have that photo of the 4 color groups. And then I started with the dark brown and then went to the lightest gray. So I think that's it for the details. This is all that I have left of the yarn, by the way. And then this little bitty sample right here. I used up everything, including samples that were not supposed to go into the sweater because I needed that little bit extra to make the sleeves just barely long enough. I mean, I was cutting it really close. And these little just like snippets are all that I have left of the yarn. I talk about making do and using up everything. I really used up every last bit of this. So waste not, want not. That's what I was trying to say. Okay. Oh, and the Avengers was, we enjoyed watching the Avengers. It was really fun. It's not my favorite series ever. I like it a lot. I like going to watch it, but I'm not a super fangirl or anything like that. So yeah, did I say how I talked about how soft the yarn is? So as far as knitting the sweater goes, here, let me try and fix this light. There we go. I made the size E, and I based the size off of my bust. So in hindsight, I could have made a size D, and I don't know, because I've lost some weight since I started knitting this, or since I started spinning it. I'm not sure when exactly, but I've lost some weight, so I probably should have knit the size D, but that's okay because this is a really comfy, it's kind of boxy, but it's really comfy, and great to throw on over things and just keep me nice and cozy and warm. And it will grow with me if I ever gain some weight, or maybe one day if I ever have children, I can wear it while I'm pregnant for a little while. So not that that's happening anytime soon. So yeah, I made the size E, and it is pretty roomy. I've got plenty of room in here. And I think, if I had made the size D, I probably wouldn't have had such a hard time trying to make the long sleeves, because I had to do a lot of altering for the sleeves to get them to be this long. So I did not follow the pattern to a T. I changed mostly just the sleeves. The yoke is exactly the way the pattern is written, and I did the short row shaping exactly like it is stated in the pattern. But I changed the sleeves a lot. Mainly, I decreased out much faster. I started decreasing at a much faster rate and continued that. And then for this last bit down here, there's a whole section where I didn't decrease, and then I decreased like right here at the end of the sleeve. And then I added some color work, which was my own little design. I intended there to be more color work than there is, but I just simply didn't have enough of this brown. And the casting off, the bind off, took a lot more brown than I thought it would. So I wasn't able to knit as much color work. I would have preferred that this been a little bit longer. So I can come in and show you. Let's see. I would have preferred this been a little bit longer, but I really think it looks cute. And I like the little brown touch at the bottom of the sleeves. So this lighting is really bugging me. Okay. So yeah, and then I faded the sleeves. So I talked about it before. Let me stand up. So I faded the body. So this is really boxy and loose. And I faded the body, and then I faded the sleeves to sort of match. So this is longer. This was, I think, like 10 rows, and I think this is only 6. So that's 10. So this is 6. Okay, the lighting's being really weird. It's partly cloudy today, and I'm filming in a new location. Sort of. It's still my living room, but I've created this new sewing space in my living room temporarily because of the construction that will be happening upstairs in our spare bedroom and on our roof. I had to bring my sewing machine down here, so I created a new little sewing space. I thought it would be cute to record down here or in front of it. So yeah, so I talked about the sleeves. I modified the sleeves a lot, and I don't want to go crazy into the details. I'd be here all day trying to tell you like how much of a pain in the butt these sleeves were. They were a giant pain in the butt because I was having to constantly adjust them, and I got really good at picking up stitches and ripping back. So I did it probably 100 times. I don't even know. That's exaggerating a little bit. So eventually I made it work. I was so thankful when I finally bound these off, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not ripping these back anymore. But yeah, so they're done. I had to do some adjusting on the sleeves to get the stripes to match. And this sleeve, the stripes aren't quite as dark as they are over here. But that's just due to the natural variation in the wool. So all of these colors are natural colors that came from the fleece, from the sheep. And so yeah, it's pretty cool. I think that all of these colors and all of this like natural variation came from one sheep. It's pretty cool. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about the short row shaping, and I was surprised when I wore it, actually when we went to see the Avengers, I was surprised at how much this neckline kept like rising up. And I'll just be sitting and it'll like rise up. And I don't love that it does that. I would prefer that it be more down here. Just, it's more comfortable. I've never liked things that are, I've never loved turtlenecks. I hated those as a kid. And then, yeah, anything that's like right on my throat, like t-shirts, I hate to say, I know this sounds awful, but I intentionally stretch the neckline out because I don't like feeling like something's like tight around my neck. Anyway, so I was surprised that the short row shaping I felt like wasn't quite enough to keep this a little more down. Like I would prefer that it stay down here, but when I'm sitting and moving around, it ends up coming back up here. And I guess it doesn't look bad or anything. I think it's just a feel thing. Like I feel like it's coming up too high, but it doesn't look bad. So this lighting. So yeah, there is short row shaping in the body, and it's after you do the color work. And a lot of people have talked about it already, including Ellie of Skein Knits. She has a podcast, and she is a pattern designer herself. And she talked about how cool the short row shaping is because of the way it's done. It's done after the color work, and it's like sort of lifts it up from below. And it is pretty cool, but I kind of think that it would have been great to have short row shaping on the back of the collar. Like if I was to, with hindsight, if I could go back in time, I might add more short row shaping on the collar just to bring the neck up a little bit, and then still do the short row shaping in the back of the body. And here, let me stand up and show you. Hopefully the light will stay good. You can tell this darker, almost charcoal color, it's a little lighter than charcoal. The darkest gray color, you can see in the front is a little bit shorter than it is in the back. When I stand up and show you in the back, it's longer, and that's due to the short row shaping. I don't know if you can see. It's so dark. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, you can kind of see how much longer it is in the back? That's due to the short row shaping. And I think it's pretty cool that this color, this like fading, allowed that. Ooh, look, wait, there we go. This light is really fighting me. So, yeah, you can see how the short row shaping made the back longer. And I thought it was pretty cool, actually, that these like fading of colors allows you to see that. That was pretty cool. So, what else is there to talk about? I think I've covered all of the main stuff. This is my first colorwork sweater that I've ever finished, and I think it's some of my best color work. I think it's really beautiful, especially considering that this is hand spun yarn and that it's not perfectly consistent. So these leaves, I think, came out just so amazing. These little like cross things are the only thing that I feel like I don't want to say I don't like them or anything, but they kind of like, they don't look quite as good as the leaves do. And I think it might have to do with the number of, it has to do with the way that the stitches are worked when you're doing color work, I think, and the number of changes with the color. So the longer the space between changing a color, I feel like can mess up your gauge a little bit or cause stitches to just kind of recede more. I'm not a colorwork expert. You know, this is my first colorwork sweater. But I think, you know, considering everything and the fact that this is hand spun, I think it looks amazing. And I could probably fuss with this and steam block some of these stitches into submission. But I think it looks beautiful the way it is, and I couldn't be more happy with this. Like I said, it's not just a sweater, it is a learning experience, and I have all of those memories of buying my first fleece and spinning it and long draw. All of that will be kept forever in this sweater, and hopefully, you know, knock on wood. That's not wood, hold on. Knock on wood, I will have this sweater for years and years to come, and love. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. I love it, and I feel like there's more that I need to say, but I don't think so. I think I've covered everything. So I have a slideshow, and later I'm going to be like, I can't believe I didn't say that. I don't know. I have a slideshow that I want to put together from beginning to end. A lot of these photos you'll have seen before, but I thought it'd be nice just to put together a little slideshow of photos and maybe a video or two of the process. So if you want to stick around for that, I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for watching. The next Fleece to FO video will be probably with my Corriedale fleece, which I would like to get the ball rolling on that. I need to make sure I have all of the fiber prepped and ready before I'm going to start spinning. So I've got to get my button gear and get that done. I am getting a little bit of like the sewing bug, especially like all the work I've done putting the sewing machine down here, and I've organized a bunch of fabric in that dresser there. And there's some cool patterns that have come out recently. So I don't know how distracting that's going to be from my my spinning of fleece, but we'll see. All right, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this slideshow, and I'll see you next time. Bye.